Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. So let's get this party started! Now making his entrance to the ring, welcome the challenger, Dr. Stalehammer, Vladimir Klitschko!
Well, you can imagine how many phones with their lights are being held up all the way around Wembley Stadium, as in the ring, the flag of Ukraine and the Union flag are being held. And the 41-year-old former champion, who says he's rejuvenated after that defeat following the end of his world title domination, as it were, against Tyson Fury 17 months ago. Steve and I were speaking to his right-hand man, Bernd Bonser, in the week, who was saying, now that albatross is off his back, now that he's been beaten, he doesn't have to, if you like, box defensively because he's holding on to that record. We are going to see a different Vladimir Klitschko. Richie Woodhall, do you go along with that, Richie? We will see a different Klitschko tonight.
No, I don't think we will. I think we'll see a Klitschko that what he's always done, which is box on the back foot and been tentative. I think he'll try and slow it down, he'll fiddle away and he'll try and frustrate Anthony Joshua. That's how I see it. He's never come over his front foot looking for a war against anyone. The time he did in his last contest against Tyson Fury, he was soundly beaten, so he knows only one way, and that's box on the back foot and frustrate the opponent. And as I'm speaking, it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Can't stop. He's on his way.
You know what, Richie? I seldom, if ever, disagree with you. We've travelled the world, man and boy almost, and I do disagree with you. I think we're going to see a different Klitschko tonight.
What, you think he's going to come out fighting, Steve, on the front
foot? I think he has to, Richie. He's done it against Pulev, and he did it against Povetkin. And I think he'll do it tonight. I think he has to do it tonight.
You think we will see the fighter who fought Pulev? That's November 2014. You think we will see the fighter we saw that night in Germany?
We have to, Pugas. We have to. Otherwise, he's going to lose. He needs to take a risk tonight. He needs to secure a legacy which should be secure.
We're watching him come into the ring. He's about to come past us here, and Vladimir Klitschko, as you can imagine, some boos, some pantomime boos, really, no more than that. Eyes down, Red Hot Chili Peppers blaring. Vladimir Klitschko, the challenger now, of course, as the fireworks go off here at Wembley Stadium. A position that he is so unused to being in, to be the challenger, but he's come here to Anthony Joshua's backyard. It really is his backyard, coming from Watford, fighting out of Finchley, being in North London. But Vladimir Klitschko, age 41, here to take back his titles. Jab and grab, that's what they say, Richie, don't they? Jab and grab, that's what he tends to do.
Yeah.
Which is why the referee, David Fields, is so important tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, but he jabs and grabs against smaller opponents. To jab and grab against someone his same height, he certainly didn't jab and grab against Tyson Fury because he couldn't. But I'll tell you what, if Steve's right and Klitschko boxes the way he says he gets knocked out. He gets knocked clean out because he'll walk onto Josh, because Joshua is far too quick, and that's why I don't think he'll go at Joshua, because you'll get absolutely chinned if that happens, trust me.
I think it's a night for great risk. I think Joshua has taken it by accepting this fight, and I think Vladimir will take it the moment the bell starts.
And he's in the ring, 68 fights, 64 wins, 4 defeats. The Ukrainian now boxing out of Germany, Vladimir Klitschko, age 41, the former world champion, in the ring and bouncing up and down behind Michael Buffer. Let's have a look at his face. I think the word is impassive. What do you think, Richie? You're the world champion.
Yeah, well, he looks very relaxed and controlled, and I said this before, he's seen this time and time again. This is second nature stuff to Vladimir Klitschko. I think he looks cool. I'm impressed with him, but I always was impressed with the way he comes into the ring. Like I said, he's seen it all before, Steve.
Some of the people around him, including John Horner, his lawyer, who works with an exclusive club, Lennox Lewis, Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones, and Vladimir Klitschko. He told me, and I've known John Horner for 26 years, he said, Steve, I've never seen him this focused, even when he was a youngster, when he was younger, when he was having rematches for world titles. He said it's scary.
And there's his brother, of course, Steve, as well. We can see Vitaly, now the mayor of Kiev. Just slightly taller, isn't he, Vitaly? But other than that, absolute doppelganger of the world champion.
Yes, they are.
The former world champion.
Yeah, they are indeed extremely similar. His brother is incredibly close, and it's essential that he's close to him.
Yeah, he's the first world champion from the former Eastern Bloc. He won it in 2000, didn't he? 10 years after they gained their independence to Ukraine. And he was the first Eastern European to actually win a world heavyweight title.
And remember, Vladimir Klitschko trying to become a three-time heavyweight champion of the world tonight. In the ring, he's got his brother, Vitaly Klitschko. He's a three-time heavyweight champ. Evander Holyfield will tell you he's a five-time heavyweight champ, although most respected boxing annals have it as four. And of course, Lennox Lewis alongside Holyfield here, another three-time world champ. That's the club Klitschko is trying to join.
You could throw a blanket over all those multiple world champions. The music ends the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Vladimir Klitschko still very calmly walking around the ring.
Coming to the ring, the defending world champion, AJ Anthony Joshua.
And the roars greet the announcement from Michael Buffer that Anthony Joshua is on his way. We see a video on the big screens of Joshua roaring like the lion. All the while, Vladimir Klitschko's got his eyes down. He's ignoring it all, ignoring all the hoopla. And if you were with us on Tuesday night, Steve was saying, when a great champion like this comes out in the ring, don't get submerged by the minders and the security, and let the crowd and let your opponent see you silhouetted, all ready to come out.
And that's the way it was in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s. You come out with a spotlight, you're in isolation, you've got that robe on, you've got your fight face on, and everybody in the arena, whether it's 1,200 or 90,000, get the idea and can see you. And I hope that's what he's going to do. I hope we get this guy in a long flowing white robe making his way regally to this night, the night of nights.
Let your opponent see you and let your opponent smell you that you're ready, and he's ready for this mano-a-mano contest. It's the heavyweight championship of the world. And as we were saying, with two American networks here, we were speaking to Jerry Eisenberg during the week, the great respected American broadcaster and journalist. What an impact this would make for Joshua and his future career, and of course his future earnings. That's why he's in it. And he's in a white robe. What an impact he could make if he could win this convincingly tonight.
Win it in style. Have Vladimir on the floor. Have him cut. Have him bruised. Here's a little bit of... I said that Joshua's a maverick when it comes to his musical taste. The man mixes it up. I'm not sure if he doesn't do it himself on his own phone.
What's interesting as well, Mark, is Klitschko has just been walking around the ring. His eyes are just firmly fixed. He's looking down. But now we're seeing Anthony Joshua just walking through, waving to the crowd. But he's been in that ring a long time already, Klitschko. And now Anthony Joshua's just walking through. And this is all part of it, to keep your opponent waiting. And now Anthony Joshua just looking around. He's all dressed in white, waving to a few people.
Long white robe,
yeah, lovely.
White boots, white gloves. Wow, he looks something else there.
He looks special. What he does is he looks like an old-timer. It looks like something. I'm not going to say, Arlie, that's a cliche, but it's got that kind of feel to it.
It's interesting as the crowd raised their decibel level once again, getting behind his familiar anthem of Anthony Joshua. When we were at the public workout the other day, Anthony Joshua, just a stone's throw away at Wembley Arena, he said that it was local for him because he knew 50% of the people in attendance. Now, the way he's swaggering to the ring with insouciant nonchalance as he steps up onto a platform, he's waving to everybody in attendance, so he's making eye contact with friends.
I'm keeping my eye on Vladimir, who's literally 5 yards away from us, and I could have sworn it was almost like a Bond villain just cackling to himself under his breath going, listen, sunshine, this doesn't put me off. I'm not going to lose because of this.
And he did that actually at the press conference when Anthony Joshua was asked about losing. Vladimir said, I will help you get over losing. I will help you.
Look, now Joshua is in between an A and a J on the far side of the ring, which is in flames, and he is standing up on a flat platform. I'm so short, I've got to stand on a chair to have a look at it on the other side of the ring. So he is elevated above us, Anthony Joshua. Just little punch of the right fist, as if to say, I'm ready, I'm coming, I'm here to entertain you. Vladimir Klitschko paying absolutely no attention at all to him. Richie, this is what it should be. It's theatre, it's showbiz, it's entertainment.
Yes, it's the sports entertainment industry at the end of the day, and this is what it's all about. And Klitschko just walking, as I say, eyes firmly fixed, actually doing a bit of a shadow boxing in the ring now. The fireworks go off, Mark. It looks absolutely fantastic. And Anthony Joshua there, all in white. And the little thing about dressed in white, Lennox Lewis always said that he felt lighter when he wore white, and Emmanuel Stewart also backed up, the late great Emmanuel Stewart. Lennox Lewis always felt lighter when he fought in white.
And when he won the world title against Charles Martin, AJ had a conversation in Sheffield before coming to London, and he asked this person, what should I wear, the white robe or the black robe? And Richie Woodhall said, go for the white robe, AJ. This man is the mystic. This man is the mystic Hogan.
He's coming towards the ring now, and I hope wherever you are, you might be on the motorway, driving around, you're at home in your kitchen, you might be in your back garden. I hope wherever you are that we're bringing to you a sense of the anticipation and the crackle, the fizzle that is around Wembley Stadium here, as we can see the TV lights coming towards the ring. And Ron, good thing you're here, Ronald, to tell us the song tonight, because the rest of us haven't got a clue.
This is the late Notorious B.I.G. with his seminal track off the album Ready to Die, Juicy. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Anthony Joshua with that rise from humble beginnings all the way through to the heavyweight championship of the world, on the verge of global superstardom. In the boxing ring now, looking resplendent in a white robe. Vladimir Klitschko, the complete opposite, in gunfighter black. His impression, impassive. Anthony Joshua, all smiles.
Mark, I'm surprised about one thing. I'm surprised that after 11 minutes or whatever it is, I'm surprised Klitschko's not moving more. He's just got in the ring. I'm surprised he's not shadow boxing.
He's just done a bit of shadow boxing, Steve.
I'm surprised he's got a bit more clothing on, unless he's got a towel underneath that robe, Rick.
Yeah.
It's a bit chilly.
Yeah, it is, but he's just done a little bit of shadow boxing.
Good.
But he looks like, Steve, like I've said, you know, he's seen it, he knows all about this type of situation, but it's probably the longest that he's been kept waiting.
100%.
Think about it, he's been champion for so long, he's always kept his opponents waiting, and now the roles are reversed, he's having to wait, and Klitschko just walking around, but Anthony Joshua, just standing there looking at Klitschko.
No, AJ's eyeing Vitali. Vitali is the front man here.
Yeah.
He's been sent in, just like Vitali used to send Vladimir in to get in their faces. And AJ has
yes, he is.
They
Yes.
are eye to eye, brother. 6'7", former world champion. 6'6", present world champion. That is pure, volatile, vicious chemistry.
I'm looking at Vitali. He's actually hasn't taken his eyes off Joshua, who is looking elsewhere now. So you're listening to 5 Live. We've got Steve Bunce with us, Richie Woodhall and Ronald McIntosh. And I know I speak for all of us when we send our very best wishes this evening to our friend and colleague Mike Costello at home. So Mike, we're thinking of you, and on behalf of everybody at 5 Live and all the 5 Live listeners, we send you our very, very best wishes. Here's Michael Buffer.
This time, we will honor challenger and champion with their respective national anthems. First, the national anthem for Ukraine, performed by the beautiful singing voice of Natalia Klitschko.
Як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй стороні. що ми браття козацького роду, душу тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
That's Natalia Klitschko. That's Vitali's wife, by the way, not Vladimir's. That's Vitaly Klitschko's wife singing the Ukrainian national anthem. And Vladimir had his right glove across his chest while that was being sung.
X-Factor champion and international recording artist, Louisa Johnson.
God save our gracious Queen, long live the noble Queen. God save our Queen. Send her
Anthony Joshua applauds the national anthem being sung. We're live at Wembley Stadium on 5 Live.
Wembley Stadium and the main event of the evening. And it's all brought to you by Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing, together with Klitschko Management Group and K2 Promotions. This is 12 rounds of boxing for the unified WBA, IBF, IBO Heavyweight Championship of the World. Sponsored by McFit, William Hill, StubHub, and JD Sports. Sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, President Charles Giles. International Boxing Federation President Darryl Peoples. International Boxing Organization President Ed Levine. World Boxing Association President Gilberto Jesus Mendoza. Timekeeper at the bell is Bob Edgeworth. The 3 judges scoring: from the United States, Don Trella; from Puerto Rico, Nelson Vasquez; from the United States, Stephen A. Weisfeld; and your referee in charge of the action at the bell, from the United States, World Championship veteran David Fields. And now, the officials are ready, the fighters are in the ring, and they are ready. So for the record-setting, sold-out 90,000 fans here at Wembley Stadium, and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the red corner with his trainer Jonathan Banks, and wearing gray, his official weight 17 stone, 2 pounds 6 ounces, or 240½ pounds. In 1996, he captured Olympic gold, and now his professional record stands at future Hall of Fame numbers, consisting of 68 fights, 64 victories, including 54 wins by knockout, with only 4 defeats. He ruled the heavyweight division for a decade, and tonight he seeks a return to championship glory. From Kiev, Ukraine, presenting the 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, ladies and gentlemen, meine Damen und Herren, Dami Gospoda, Dr. Steelhammer, Vladimir Klitschko. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner with his trainer, Rob McCracken, He's wearing white and officially weighed in at 17 stone, 12 pounds, 2 ounces, or 250.1 pounds. He captured Olympic gold at the London Games in 2012 and captured the hearts of a nation. Now, as a professional, his record stands as a perfect one. 18 fights, 18 victories, 18 knockouts. From London, he is the heavyweight fighting pride of all England. He is the reigning, defending, undefeated IBF heavyweight champion of the world, AJ Anthony Joshua.
Well, the buffer certainly knows how to get everybody going, Richie, doesn't he? Fantastic. Listen to the noise here.
That may have been the best buffer for 10 years.
Right, the referee has called the fighters together. Michael Buffer's in there.
Scheduled to box 12 rounds for the heavyweight championship of the world. I'm going over the rules in the dressing room. I expect you to obey my commands at all times. Most of all, protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves, good luck.
Here we go then, live on 5 Live for the heavyweight championship of the world. Here's Ronald McIntosh.
During those final instructions from referee David Fields, Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua stared fixedly at one another with eyes that were as cold and as steady as the barrel of a sniper's gun. Their Olympic titles in their superhero physiques make them similar. The disparity in age and experience, obvious differences. Two supersized heavyweights vying for global supremacy. And we are underway. The unified heavyweight championship of the world. Anthony Joshua, the reigning IBF champion in his 19th professional contest. He wears white trunks trimmed with a glittering and red underneath as well. Anthony Joshua immediately onto the back foot on the outside of the boxing ring. Vladimir Klitschko wearing grey trunks onto the front foot, toying and fencing with that left jab. Anthony Joshua got two good left jabs and a reverse 1-2 from Anthony Joshua. The first significant blows of the fight, a right hook followed by a left, and now the two boxers, the triangular torsos, come together for the first time. Referee David Fields separates the two men, breaking them up from that momentary clinch. And now it's Klitschko on the front foot, operating out of centre ring, operating behind a low-held left hand, the two men sparring with the left hand. Anthony Joshua falling short with an attempted reverse 1-2 once again, both men cocking their right hands, ready to fire. Anthony Joshua dipping up and down from the knees, Vladimir Klitschko up on his toes, on the front foot, as Steve Bunce suggested he would be, trying to take the fight to Anthony Joshua, but both men wary of the other's power. Anthony Joshua dips downstairs with a good left hand to the solar plexus. Good left jab in response to the head from Vladimir Klitschko, who tried that lead left hook that he used so effectively against Kubrat Pulev back in 2014. Joshua was wise to it, and then his attempted 1-2 falls short by some distance as Vladimir Klitschko used good footwork to engage reverse gear. Midway through the opening round, Vladimir Klitschko exclusively on the front foot, boxing right on top of the logo. Anthony Joshua more flat-footed, parrying Klitschko's attempted left with his right hand. His concentration is immense, staring as he gets through the same combination, left hook, right hand from Anthony Joshua. Vladimir Klitschko content to box with a low-held guard still. Joshua comes forward with another good double jab, but then stings Joshua with a solid left jab of his own. Joshua trying a right hand to the body, but it was partially parried by the left elbow of Klitschko. So Klitschko back onto the front foot. Now he engages reverse gear, moving side to side, laterally, little shuffling steps. Now back up on his toes, bouncing, testing the strength of those 41-year-old legs. Anthony Joshua standing flat-footed with a wide-legged stance. A rather amateurish-looking right hand fell into the elbow of Vladimir Klitschko. And Anthony Joshua not looking as poised as he began this round. Now he's trying to get back to work behind his left jab, but it's Klitschko who's looking more confident at this juncture of the opening round with 30 seconds left to go. Klitschko now looking increasingly composed and getting that left jab to work. And anybody who has been in the ring with Klitschko, even though it looks like a pawing shot, if Vladimir Klitschko gets that left jab working, it is an awful nuisance and a considerable deterrent. And he's looking as though he's finding the range with it as this opening round is going on. 10-second clapper is imminent here at Wembley Stadium. 90,000 people in attendance. The unified heavyweight championship of the world on the line, and a very good opening round of boxing. Richie Woodhall.
Yeah, Steve, I'll give you that one. Klitschko did come out on that front foot, but I'll tell you what, I think he's going to walk onto a big shot here against Joshua, the way he's walking forward. He's coming forward with his jab, but he's not quick on his feet. He's coming a little bit tentatively. He's coming forward, and he's going to walk onto a right hand. You can see it coming, Steve, all day long.
Yeah, but he's not going to walk onto one of those right hands that Joshua's thrown, because as Ronald said, it was a very amateurish right hand. He threw it out straight in front of him, and there was no turn on it. If he throws the right hands in this round, he's got to turn it. And that means he's got to commit.
But he'll get the measure of him, Steve. He'll get the measure of him.
Let me ask you something, Rich. We've sat ringside in a lot of countries and a lot of big fights, okay, from Mayweather and all the way to David Hay overseas and Klitschko overseas. Have you ever been in a 3-minute round that's so intense as that? The intensity, you could sense it. And as Putin said earlier on, you could smell it at ringside. That was a fantastic opening round.
Vladimir Klitschko, the first to rise. Anthony Joshua taking every second of the 60-second interval before coming off his stool, and he's tagged by a right hand from Vladimir Klitschko. The firmest punch that Anthony Joshua's taken in his career, but he fired back with immediately with a left hand of his own. Vladimir Klitschko is oozing confidence. He calls Anthony Joshua his little brother, and he's trying to establish superiority up there in the boxing ring. Joshua tries to retaliate, but he's falling short of the mark. He fires short with a right hand to the torso. That was attempted once again. Now Klitschko standing still in front of him, just moving forward with little shuffling steps now before engaging reverse gear once more. Anthony Joshua with a little bit of a bemused expression on his face from my vantage point here at ringside. Not quite sure of what to do, not as certain as he has been in the past, and it's Vladimir Klitschko who is dictating the terms on which this contest is being boxed. Joshua falling short with a tentative left jab once again. Vladimir Klitschko looking incredibly loose, as fluid as mercury up there in the boxing ring, as he is gliding around, bending at the waist and just jigging up and down as he likes, moving in and out, half steps, incrementally into range, incrementally out of range. And Anthony Joshua did get through with a good double left jab to the sternum, and that was a really crude agricultural right hand from Anthony Joshua. No turn, he tossed it from his elbow. That right hand was a better shot. It was a straight right cross from Anthony Joshua as the two men right in centre ring beneath the ring lights here at Wembley Arena. Joshua trying that right hand once again, but again he falls short, and he just pursed his lips together as though he was a little bit frustrated at being unable to find a range. And the reason that he's falling short, despite possessing a 1-inch longer reach, 82 inches for Joshua, 81 inches for Klitschko, is that Klitschko is moving masterfully up there in the boxing ring, full of movement, incessant movement. They may not be big moves, but they're big enough to frustrate and make Anthony Joshua fall short. Minute to go in the second round. Anthony Joshua on the back foot, his back near the perimeter of the boxing ring, near the ropes of the boxing ring, on the far side from our commentary position. Coming forward with a jab is Joshua, but he's falling short, and Klitschko is scoring with his. Vladimir Klitschko oozing confidence, growing in confidence as the round progresses. Anthony Joshua just looking a little bit bamboozled here, not quite sure what to do. Gets in with a left jab of his own, but not without taking a left jab from Klitschko. And again, the right hand falls short. He attempted a follow-up right hand to the sternum, and that perhaps, if he's been bothered by the movement, would be a good tactic. The body going to move less than the head, and Anthony Joshua's trying to target that. Now Klitschko back onto the front foot, but he moves backwards once again before Joshua can land a shot on him. Approaching the 10-second clapper of this second round. Joshua, his back skimming the ropes, but he gets off immediately as though they are electrified. Action moves to the neutral corner on the far side of the ring. Joshua falls short with a jab, and it's Klitschko who has boxed very well again indeed in that second round. Richie Woodhall.
Not only boxed very well, an awful lot of movement from Klitschko, and I'm now starting to think, does he think he's going to dance and out jab and be slick and turn away and just roll with punches? Yeah, and Ronald picked up on something there, Rich. He said that Anthony Joshua looked a little bit bemused, I think was the word Ronald used, and he did look a bit bemused. But what he's doing, of course, Anthony Joshua, he's trying to work out what does he do next, because he's never been here before.
I think
never been in this situation.
I think the problem for Joshua at the moment is he just can't cope with the movement of Klitschko. It's been a good start from Klitschko, and what Joshua Joshua's got to do, he's got to start doubling up his jab. He's neglected his jab up to this stage, so he's got to double up his jab, get his feet into range, and then throw the right hand. He's throwing the right hand, Steve, from too far away, and he's falling short with it.
So straight away here, we're already dependent on Klitschko's legs wearing out. This is why this fight was so interesting.
Seconds out. Round 3. World Championship Boxing here on BBC 5 Live. We're at Wembley Arena in front of a post-war record crowd of 90,000. Into the third round we go. Vladimir Klitschko out aggressively and with intent once again. And Anthony Joshua's right hand is continuing to look rather crude and clumsy. Not the thunderbolt that he's been in his previous 18 contests. Vladimir Klitschko dangling his left hand down by his kneecap. His right hand cocked and ready to unload that fearsome right cross. Joshua trying to get a left jab in, but it was parried effectively by the gloves of Vladimir Klitschko, coming to mid-range, but they both retreat before any punches are fired. Right hand from Klitschko just went long, then he leaned down on Anthony Joshua. Despite giving away 10 pounds in weight, Vladimir Klitschko leaned down and then a right uppercut from Joshua and a left hook brings a round of applause from this crowd because they are desperate for some success from their man. Left hook got through on the first shot from Joshua, but then the second one was short. The two men tangling biceps at centre ring. Referee David Field separates the two and they're back beyond punching range once more. Right on top of the logo, a minute gone at centre ring. In this third round, Anthony Joshua with more success in the opening of this third, and now he's nodding in Vladimir Klitschko's direction, possibly talking to him. His back is to us in our commentary position. He gets through with a good double left jab. It was rather ponderous, not too much snap, but he had a fair amount of pop. And Anthony Joshua looking just a little bit rigid in comparison to the 41-year-old former two-time champion Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir Klitschko, remember, the second longest reigning heavyweight champion in history, with his 9-year reign in his second stint as champ. Second only to the great Joe Louis, who reigned for over 12 years. And in terms of defences, he's only bettered by the great Larry Holmes, who had 20 defences, and Joe Louis, who had 25. 18 successful defences during that second reign as champ for Dr. Steelhammer Vladimir Klitschko. Still Joshua following his man around the ring. The right hand got Klitschko's attention, but Klitschko was leaning back to take some of the pop off it, despite the roar of applause and appreciation from the crowd here. Less than a minute to go in this third round. It's 50 seconds the clock as the two men tangle up once again. Their arms entwined like pretzels before David Field extricates the two of them from that confined place. Klitschko trying a lead left hook, but Joshua rode it well and the fighters fell into a clinch once again. Anthony Joshua still not looking rhythmic, still not looking fluid. No such problems for Vladimir Klitschko, who's continuing to bob and weave and twitch and feint, but he did eat a good left jab from Anthony Joshua there. The action remains at centre ring. Klitschko leaning back effectively to avoid another 1-2 that was attempted by Anthony Joshua. And I would like to see the punch stats and the punch ratio success for Anthony Joshua, because he is missing far more than he is landing through this portion of this, the biggest fight of his professional career. Richie Woodhall, your thoughts on that round?
Well, Klitschko won the first two rounds, but he definitely didn't win that round there. That was definitely a Joshua round, and he's starting to find his range a little bit better now. The punch that, for me, Joshua's got to watch out for. He's got to watch out for the left hook. The left hook of Vladimir Klitschko, because he's holding his left hand very, very low indeed, and he's got a great move where he feints to the body with the jab, and then he changes the angle and whips the shot up, left hook to the head. But the movement's still good from Klitschko, but there were just signs there, Steve, that Joshua was getting through with a couple of better right hands. He's getting his second win now, Josh.
The right hand is slightly improving, but it was the left hook that hurt Klitschko. It was a sneaky little left hook, and that forced the first clinch of the fight after halfway through that round. Once you get Vladimir clinching, he's not moving because he's holding you. It's that simple.
Steve, have you got it?
2-1. 2-1 to big Vlad.
Seconds out. Round 4. Into the fourth round of this heavyweight unification bout between Anthony Joshua, the IBF champion, who had just taken a steamhammer of a right hand, and another one from Vladimir Klitschko, who has come out blazing to begin round number 4. Anthony Joshua shipping the most significant punishment of his career. He's desperate to hold on. He almost was waltzed down to the canvas by Klitschko, who's made a bright start to this fourth round, landing with 2 pulverizing right crosses. Joshua trying to fight back, but again his right hand is rather amateurish. It's an arcing shot that ended up hitting Klitschko on his lats. But Klitschko with a statement of intent to begin this fourth round, and Anthony Joshua, he's looking just a little bit disheveled up there in the boxing ring, continuing to fall short with his jab. It was a double one on this occasion, tried a right hand lead, but a big right hand from Anthony Joshua, but Vladimir Klitschko took it well and just danced away to his left as though it was a powder puff punch, but it was a solid shot from Joshua, and this a significant point of the contest, because with a knockout artist like Anthony Joshua, 18 fights, 18 wins, 18 coming inside the distance, what happens when the punch isn't enough? Right hand attempted by Vladimir Klitschko, but it was long, and Anthony Joshua hitting while David Field was trying to come between the two. He's a warrior, is Anthony Joshua. He said to us during the build-up that this is a fight, it's not science, and he demonstrated his street fighting instincts there, hitting Vladimir Klitschko while the referee was in conversation. Lead left hook attempted by Klitschko, but Anthony Joshua was wide to it and backpedaled effectively. Showboating now from Klitschko, winding up a right-handed bolo shot as Sugar Ray Leonard did against Roberto Duran in their second fight in Montreal, but he didn't pull the trigger, and in the meantime, while he's showboating, Anthony Joshua was getting closer. He landed with two good arcing long right hands to the left ribs of Vladimir Klitschko. Klitschko fires the left-right combination. The right hand went over Joshua's head because Joshua dipped to the knees, and a crunching right hook from Anthony Joshua sends a shower of spray from the close-cropped hair of Vladimir Klitschko, and then a left hook gets through from Joshua. But Vladimir Klitschko looking incredibly composed. Anthony Joshua on the front foot trying to pursue his man, but now the two men standing in front of one another, flexing and feinting. Anthony Joshua breathing through a slightly open mouth. He gets through with a good left hand to the pectorals of Vladimir Klitschko, and now it's Joshua on the back foot. But again, that mouth is open. I'm not suggesting that he's gassed, but he's coming at a career heaviest 250 pounds. That's just a quarter of a pound heavier than he was against, 3/4 of a pound heavier than he was against Gary Cornish, but he looks incredibly swole, as the youngsters state. And how will he be able to carry that bulk beyond round 7 if required? Remember, he's never been beyond round 7 to this point in his professional career. Closing stages of round number 4. There's the bell. Now let's see if we can head over to the blue corner and listen into the instructions of Robert McCracken, Anthony Joshua's trainer.
Okay? You okay? Yeah. Just breathe and relax, mate. That pressure he's doing, you can't throw a lot.
Just breathe and relax there from Robert McCracken. That makes all the sense in the world. Ronald's picked up on it. Let's put it down here. Anthony Joshua is sucking in breath, Richie. Sucking in breath.
Yeah, he's a bit bamboozled with the style at the moment of Vladimir Klitschko because of the movement. And Klitschko's boxing a very clever contest. With the movement, he's controlling the tempo and the pace of the contest. It's Klitschko's at the moment. Just seeing the monitor, he's caught him with a good right hand. But at the same time, what Joshua's got to do, Steve, there are glimpses. He's got to up the tempo and get closer to him.
He can try, he can do it. In my opinion, it's 3-1 in rounds. He is trailing. He is trailing.
So into the 5th round then, World Championship Boxing on BBC Radio 5 Live, and Anthony Joshua's come out blazing and has caught Klitschko with 2 thunderous left hooks that cause Klitschko's legs to dip. He's then hit by an arcing right hand. Anthony Joshua is turning this into a firefight, and Vladimir Klitschko is not reacting well. Anthony Joshua has raised the tempo. Vladimir Klitschko is cut, and he's hit by a thunderous left hook, and he wobbles down to the canvas like treacle pouring from a tin. Anthony Joshua raises his arms. David Field issuing a mandatory 8 count. Vladimir Klitschko up on his feet in the neutral corner to the near side of our commentary position. Anthony Joshua raised the tempo, and Vladimir Klitschko has responded badly. Down again for another time in his heavyweight career. On the back foot now, looking wide-eyed and rather worried. Cut above the left eye. Anthony Joshua on the front foot, trying to close the distance. They're at short range. Now Klitschko firing back with a left hook. Joshua responds with the same shot. Both men miss. And I've got a feeling that somebody is going to get knocked out. Vladimir Klitschko cut awfully above the left eye. Approaching the midpoint of this 5th round. Klitschko still on unsteady legs. Anthony Joshua, he is absolutely gassed up there. Has he punched himself out? Because all of a sudden, his legs are looking a little bit stiff. He started the 5th round at a blistering pace, and Anthony Joshua cannot close the distance to get his own punches off against Vladimir Klitschko. That's how much he put into this this opening salvo, and I think one punch here could end it either way. Both men looking incredibly weary. Anthony Joshua put his man on the floor, but took an awful lot out of himself, and he gets tagged by a left hook. Vladimir Klitschko misses with the follow-up. Anthony Joshua fires a speculative right uppercut that falls short, but the second one didn't. Right uppercut, left hook success. Anthony Joshua eats a left hook from Klitschko, and another one. And this is a toe-to-toe slugfest, reminiscent of a Rocky movie. And now it's Anthony Joshua on rubbery legs. Minute to go in the 5th round. Both men absolutely spent. Joshua can barely hold his boxing stance. Klitschko is inspired by that, and he's teeing off. He's met head-on by Anthony Joshua. Action is sent to ring, and both of these men are violently extracting the very best from one another. No quarter asked, none given, neither man looking to hide, and they are oh so weary. Anthony Joshua looks out on his feet. Vladimir Klitschko looks refreshed and helps himself to 2 massive right hands. Anthony Joshua traps on the ropes and ties his man up in a clinch, trying to gain some respite. Despite being on the canvas, it's Vladimir Klitschko's in the ascendancy. Left hook crashes home. Anthony Joshua becoming disheveled, fighting off the ropes. He's got absolutely nothing left. He's a standing target, a sitting duck for Vladimir Klitschko, and Klitschko couldn't find the range in the closing stages. What a phenomenal round!
That is the greatest round of boxing we have had on 5 Live, perhaps since Hagler and Hearns. That was sensational. Vladimir Klitschko had no right to survive that round, no right to survive that knockdown, Richie. Not only did he survive it, he dominated the last 2 minutes. What kept Anthony Joshua up?
Incredible 3 minutes of boxing. He started with Joshua, as we said, he's getting closer, he upped the tempo and he caught him with a right hand. It sends him to the canvas. We think it's going to be all over. He's going to walk in there and knock him out, but Vladimir Klitschko wasn't reading the script, was he? He hung on in there like someone hanging on the side of a cliff face and just drags himself up, gets to his feet, and then at the end it was Joshua. Looks like he was out on his
Joshua had nothing at the end.
Is there a 10-8 round, Steve?
Ronald, it's a 10-8 round, without a doubt.
Round 6.
Both boxers meet one another head-on at centre ring to begin round number 6 after an absolutely sensational 5th round, where Vladimir Klitschko was on the floor but ended the round in the ascendancy. Now, has the minute interval been enough for both men to recover, principally Anthony Joshua, because he was absolutely standing stock still. That's a cracking right hand from Joshua, but then Klitschko responds with the same shot. One of these men is going to get knocked out, and this is beginning to resemble the heavyweight slugfest between George Foreman and Ron Lyle, where both men, as we have a pause in the action, referee David Field sending Vladimir Klitschko to the furthest neutral corner. I think the mouthpiece of Anthony Joshua has been dislodged, and that is often the sign of a fatiguing fighter, when he can't keep his mouth closed and keep the mouthpiece in, and it was dislodged because Joshua's mouth is hanging right open. Timing once again, 2 minutes 16 to go in round number 6, after a torrid round number 5 for both fighters really, despite Vladimir Klitschko taking a trip to the canvas. Big right hand from Klitschko lands on Joshua. Joshua talking to his man, telling him that it didn't hurt, but any ring veteran will tell you that if you can elicit a response like that, you most certainly got the fighter's attention. Minute gone in the opening round. What a right hand, and Anthony Joshua is down, and he may well be out. He wobbled to the canvas as though he had been deboned. He's gamely trying to get back to his feet. He's up on his feet. He says to David Field that he's okay, but I don't think Anthony Joshua's got anything left. He resumes his boxing stance. Vladimir Klitschko moving in for the finish. Misses with a big lead left hook. Anthony Joshua bouncing on his toes. Klitschko misses with a long right hand again. It's a gruesome waltz sent to ring. Anthony Joshua draped around his midsection of Vladimir Klitschko. Still a minute 20 seconds to go in round number 6. Joshua down on the canvas for the first time in his career. He is now fighting on fumes. He's fighting on instinct. Both men desperately tired, and one punch either way, I feel, is going to end this contest. Anthony Joshua is waving like a reed in a breeze. He can't stand up. Klitschko can't close the distance. Big left hook. Anthony Joshua's knees dip. He's still shaking his head, showing defiance, showing contempt for Vladimir Klitschko's punches. A rabbit punch goes behind the head of Anthony Joshua, and again it affects him once more. Another left hook from Vladimir Klitschko. and now he's tossed into the turnbuckle. Anthony Joshua, utterly exhausted, still 30 seconds to go. The biggest crisis of Anthony Joshua's career. Can he make it to the bell for this 6th round? He's a stiff jab from Dr. Steelhammer. And another one. Joshua simply can't move out of the way of the punches, but Klitschko cannot close the distance to land what would surely be the final denouement. Less than 20 seconds to go in the 6th round. Anthony Joshua on the floor for the first time in his career. And the crowd trying to inspire Anthony Joshua, the homeboy from Watford in just outside London. Big left hook, misses from Klitschko once again. Closing bell approaching for this 6th round. What a round! Anthony Joshua on the floor for the first time in his career, and he did well to get back to his feet. Steve Bunce.
Stunning, staggering that he managed to make it back. He is slumped in the corner like a man who has just finished a marathon. When he was down, he was absolutely gone. He just about beat the count. I think that David Fields was looking in his eyes, and I think Joshua smiled and said he could go on. And then you saw Vladimir use all of that experience. 30 years in the business, 69th fight tonight, 29th world title fight. He took his time. What Vladimir is doing now, Richie, is looking for one punch, because that's all he needs, one punch.
What a response that was from Klitschko. He actually had a bad round, didn't he, the previous one. Then he comes back and catches Josh with probably the hardest right hand that Joshua has actually took in his career. He's got through it. What can Joshua do now? This is the real test now for a world champion.
For just the 2nd time in his professional boxing career, Anthony Joshua has heard the timekeeper say round 7. He finished Dominic Breazeale in 7 rounds, but he's been on the floor for the first time in his career in round number 6. And Vladimir Klitschko looks the fresher of the two. He's looking more sprightly, up on his toes, despite being 41 years of age. Anthony Joshua, he's trying to play possum, but he's just eaten another steam hammer right hand from Dr. Steelhammer. Joshua, beyond punching range at the moment. Vladimir Klitschko has got a 2nd wind, and he is moving on his toes, closing the distance, and feeding Anthony Joshua a left jab that is coming out from his belt line. Anthony Joshua showing good defensive instincts, bobbing and weaving on the ropes. Now he advances back to centre ring. Vladimir Klitschko with that right hand cocked, looking to uncoil it. Anthony Joshua, is he getting a 2nd wind? Can he recover from being put on the floor in the 6th round? He's hit by a jolting left jab, and then Klitschko turned it into a left hook. The action near the neutral corner on the near side of the ring to our commentary position. Klitschko with that right hand locked and loaded, looking for the target. Or half fired the lead left hook but didn't pull the trigger. Anthony Joshua, he's not really offering much movement at the moment, and he's certainly doing no punching, and he claims his man just near the neutral corner, engages in a clinch before referee David Fields breaks the 2 men apart once more. Anthony Joshua trying to keep himself out of punching distance, although he did respond with a good counter left jab. And then a left jab from Vladimir Klitschko stopped Anthony Joshua in his tracks. Again, he's engaging in a running conversation with Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir Klitschko, who refers to him as his little brother. Remember, they sparred together in 2014 out of Vladimir Klitschko's title defense against Kubrat Pulev, and this is Vladimir's most dynamic showing since that 5th round knockout over Kubrat Pulev. What did the 2 men learn from those sparring sessions? How much does the dominance, the psychological hold of being a big brother hold in Vladimir Klitschko's mind? He's the man that appears to be in control at this juncture of the 7th round, although there is precious little punching coming from either man, and the punches that are coming are a snaking left jab from Anthony Joshua that are continuing to inconvenience Anthony Joshua. Joshua fires a left jab of his own, but it's short of the range once again. Vladimir Klitschko looking refreshed and energized despite being cut over the left eye. His movement appears good, and Anthony Joshua appearing a little bit confused, as though he doesn't know what to do with the former 2-time world champion in front of him. Less than 30 seconds to go in this 7th round. Anthony Joshua continuing to chatter and jabber to his man, but he's not letting any significant offense go during the course of this 7th round. Tries a left hook, but it was parried by the right hand of Vladimir Klitschko. And now Klitschko reciprocating in the conversational stakes, talking to Anthony Joshua. Closing seconds of round number 7. And it's just a jab fest to end the round, but Vladimir Klitschko controlling that round with his jab. Let's go over to the blue corner and listen to Rob McCracken.
You're waiting too long, you ain't got nothing left, mate. Can't you see it?
What are you waiting for?
Can't you see it, mate?
Took a round off.
He ain't got nothing left. We can get to work now. Combinations, jab right hand, left hook. Jab right hand, left hook, body head. Come on, combinations, step back. Get your jab in and get your right hand and left hook in and go underneath.
Rob McCracken thinks that Klitschko hasn't got much left there, but he actually did very well, Klitschko, with the jab on the working on the outside. I think Josh, again, he's going through a period where he can't handle the movement of Klitschko. He's certainly got to get up, to try and get up closer to Klitschko. That's his problem. He's too far away.
Gentlemen, how have you got it to this point in the conclusion of the 7th round?
5-2 to Klitschko.
I've got Klitschko 67-64 at this point.
I tell you what, Joshua said there, I was having a round off. It didn't look like that to me. It looked like he was trying to survive.
So Anthony Joshua entering uncharted territory in the course of his professional career into round 8 for the first time in the paid ranks. And for what it's worth, my scorecard is equal to that of Richie Woodhall. I've got it 67-64 in favour of Vladimir Klitschko. Joshua is looking more sprightly to begin round number 8. But again, it's Klitschko who is on the front foot and trying to close the distance, and he catches Joshua with a cuffing right hand at mid-range, and Joshua again was keen to initiate a clinch. He's back beyond punching range once again after the referee separated the two. Joshua working behind the jab now on the front foot. He tried to turn it into a left hook, and it was just smothered out by the experience of Vladimir Klitschko, who extended his glove to nullify the shot. Vladimir Klitschko on centre ring, leaning backwards as he does so characteristically to try and make it more difficult to reach him with that 82-inch reach that Joshua possesses. Joshua moving backwards and to his left. He could be walking onto the right-hand compass of Vladimir Klitschko. Joshua coming forward with a double left jab, but it's a rather ponderous jab. Lead left hook from Joshua, catches Klitschko on the shoulder, and the two men fall into one another once again. And Anthony Joshua continues that naughty tactic of belting Vladimir Klitschko in his ribcage when the referee is trying to separate the two. This time it was with the right hand. Big right hand attempted by Klitschko, but it goes over the head of Joshua, who dipped at the knees. Good left jab from Joshua into the solar plexus of Klitschko. Klitschko boxing with his hands down by his belt line. Anthony Joshua's hands are somewhere near his considerable pecs. Referee David Field staying on the perimeter of the boxing ring. Joshua breathing through an open mouth once again, and all of a sudden his movement is slowing just a little bit. Klitschko trying to close the distance, shaping up as though he's looking for one single solitary shot to bring an end to this contest. He's working well behind the jab once again, is Klitschko. Joshua with his back to the ropes on the near side of the ring to our commentary position. Klitschko extending that left hand like a saber, just rattling it in the direction of Joshua. Joshua shuffles forward behind a double jab. Klitschko now with a languid left hand. Oh, big right hand from Klitschko. Joshua walked into it, but he took it well. It landed somewhere around his ear, and those are the type of shots that could ruin a fighter's equilibrium. But Joshua suffering no extreme ill effects from that shot. 40 seconds to go, round number 8. Anthony Joshua dealing with the pace well in this round, but I think he's being outworked. Klitschko working well with his jab. Now Klitschko up on his toes, moving beyond punching range, and it's an untidy maul at centre ring. Referee David Fields caught into action once again. And it's a good thing that David Fields is a former sparring partner of Marvin Hagler, because he's having to come between two physical fighters up there on increasingly frequent occasions. Closing seconds of round number 8. Another snapping left jab from Klitschko. Snaps the head back of Anthony Joshua. Joshua coming forward in rather crude fashion, but it was effective. And Klitschko just lost his balance as the 8th round concluded. Steve Bunce.
It looks to me like, despite what Joshua said in the corner about taking a round off, and despite what McCracken, Tony Sims has said in the corner about how Vladimir's got nothing left, it looked to me like Vladimir decided in that round, you know what? I can keep my hands up, jab, he can't hit me with anything. He's dazed, he's confused, he might be smiling, he might be talking. That was a clear and what I would classify as an easy Klitschko round. That was a classic Klitschko round, Richie.
Yeah, clever boxing, isn't it, from Klitschko? He's the one who looks the younger man, doesn't he? Let's face it, he's prepared very well indeed.
What a performance.
And yeah, no one expected this type of performance in terms of his movements. He's now starting to box more at distance, though, Klitschko. He's controlling the tempo and the distance between himself and Joshua. Yeah,
and let me just say, all bets are off, because no one said we'd be going into the 9th round with the pair of them on the floor in a slug and bloodfest. Nobody, Ronald.
World Championship Boxing here on BBC Radio 5 Live, and Anthony Joshua just takes a stiff right cross from Vladimir Klitschko, and it's an untidy tussle at centre ring once again, resembling grappling in an MMA octagon. Tony Bellew to our left, up on his feet, hollering instructions and encouragement to Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua remaining fixed and focused on the man in front of him. Klitschko fired a cuffing left hook, and Joshua looking more weary than Klitschko once again. Vladimir Klitschko defying Father Time to this point in the contest, up on his toes, moving into and out of range, closing the distance as and when he likes. Good left jab from Anthony Joshua though. Klitschko gets back onto the front foot and snakes out a double left jab of his own. And now it's at short range once again. Referee David Field stepping in between the two. Chopping right hand attempted by Klitschko, and then a jolting left jab got through by the former two-time world champion, and increasing amounts of clinching, punctuating the action here in this 9th round. It's getting really untidy on the inside, a cuffing right hook land from Vladimir Klitschko. Anthony Joshua trying to walk away, and David Fields, well, his conditioning's being tested because increasingly he's having to extricate the two fighters from untidy clinches. Klitschko firing a right hand which fell short. Joshua's mouth still wide open, still breathing in rather laboured fashion. Joshua again falling short on his forward foray as Vladimir Klitschko continuing to expand and contract the boxing ring as he likes. But Joshua demonstrating good ring intelligence, scored with a good left hand right to the sternum, and the sternum that's really not going to move off the centre line too much. Good left jab and a right hand from Anthony Joshua, who's trying to get through now, and that's why we have the roar of applause and appreciation from the crowd. But he's only able to tag in single waves as Anthony Joshua. It's like if he puts an explosive salvo like that together, he can't follow it up. Whereas Vladimir Klitschko continuing to glide around the ring as though he's wearing a pair of roller skates. At this juncture, he's on flat feet, moves forward once again, but again, it's as though the two men are taking a break from punching, plenty of feinting, plenty of fidgeting, trying to draw a lead that they can counter before Klitschko closes the distance and snakes out a left hand, catching Joshua on his left pec. Joshua falling short with his jab, but he got through with that right hand. Klitschko wide-eyed looking in his direction, but continuing to bob and weave in front of him. Untidy at short range once again. Klitschko employing his familiar tactic of placing the head of Anthony Joshua beneath his right armpit and putting his 240 pounds onto the neck of Joshua. If you've seen Joshua training in the build-up to this fight, he's been doing that neck roll exercise that old-time fighters used to do, that Mike Tyson used to build up his neck to 19 3/4 inches during his fighting pomp. Well, that neck strength is being tested because Klitschko keeps leaning on it.
That was a good round there from Joshua. He started to move a little bit more. Klitschko suddenly found himself having to work that bit harder. Neither of them have got very much left. This is an old-school, old-style slugfest. And as I said just before the start of that round, Richie, and let me explain it, all bets are off. Because when you predict a fight, you say, I'll have someone to win by points, someone to win by knockout. Nobody, and I mean nobody I spoke to, argued with or debated with, ever said there would be two knockdowns, blood, guts and gore, and a fight like this. And this is surpassing expectations.
Well, no one expected a performance from Klitschko on his feet the way he is. For me, Joshua's got to really get on that front foot now, Steve. He's behind here, probably 3 or 4 points.
Yes.
He's got to really go for him and make him fight in close range, because that's when Joshua's got a chance of actually scoring that big shot. He's got to make it messy and scrappy now.
Come on, big AJ.
So into the 10th round we go, and Anthony Joshua's made a bright start to round number 10, firing a big 1-2, but they were short of the range. Vladimir Klitschko's continuing to bounce on his toes, continuing to show that there's life in those 41-year-old legs after he was so beguiled and bemused and hypnotized by Tyson Fury some 17 months ago. The rematches with Tyson Fury fell through, and Anthony Joshua is the man who is taking on Vladimir Klitschko. As Klitschko tries to get his titles back, but he takes a stiff right hand. But again, no reaction from Klitschko, and he responds with a left jab of his own. Klitschko staring fixedly at Anthony Joshua, hands down by his pecs, left hand somewhere down by his belt line. Good left hand to the ribs of Anthony Joshua from his left flank, sinking it into the right rib cage. Good right hand over the top from Klitschko, from Joshua, but Klitschko showed all his experience and rode the punch by turning his waist and leaning back to lessen the effect of what could have been a concussive right hand. Minute gone in round number 10. Anthony Joshua snakes a left hand to the body. Both men beneath the ring lights, right in dead center of the boxing ring. Left hook brings a round of applause from the crowd, fired by Joshua, but Klitschko fired, blocked it effectively with his right before countering with a really solid left jab of his own. Joshua onto the back foot, being walked into the neutral corner. His avenues of escape being cut off, but he gets out of that place of confinement with a long straight right to Klitschko's body. Klitschko now continues to walk his man back to the ropes and flicks out a darting left jab once again. Klitschko firing a big right hand, but Anthony Joshua saw it coming. And he just furrowed his brow, did Anthony Joshua, as he claimed Klitschko around the waist. Both men desperately tired, but both men now showing their fighting qualities, their championship heart, because neither man is looking for a hiding place. And it's a stern admonishment from referee David Fields in Anthony Joshua's direction for continuing to employ roughhouse tactics at close range. Less than a minute to go now in round number 10. 49 seconds as Klitschko half pulled the trigger on a left hook. Anthony Joshua evaded it by switching his footwork and bending at the waist. And once more, increasing amounts of clinching are punctuating this heavyweight unification bout. Klitschko backing up Anthony Joshua with a 1-2 combination. Joshua fired a lead left hook, which Klitschko evaded by backpedaling. Less than 30 seconds to go and cries of AJ, AJ from the 90,000 attendants here at Wembley. Anthony Joshua, his mouth hanging open, but still managing to keep his gloves around by his chin as the two men come together violently. Looked as though there was a clash of heads and a short-range punch landed by Vladimir Klitschko. Anthony Joshua was coming forward and he doubled up the impact. He's tagged by another right hand from Klitschko. Let's hear from Richie Woodhall at the conclusion of that 10th round.
Yeah, an incredible contest this is. Klitschko again doing the better movement, bringing Joshua on to shots. Josh had his success periods in that round, but towards the end of the round, I think Klitschko finished a lot better. They came together, a couple of good short right hands. It's an incredible performance this is from Vladimir Klitschko. No one really expected it. And Steve, where's he getting this movement from? It's unbelievable.
Well, I think, in all fairness, I don't want to sound harsh, I think it's easy to move when you've got a guy in front of you who's still a novice. We've said that. Just because he's lovely and just because he won the gold medal and he's the world champion, he is still a relative novice, Anthony Joshua, and his movement is not that impressive. He's not cutting down the ring, he's not showing any feints, he's going in straight lines, he's not showing as much variety as he said, so it's making Vlad look like a dancing master.
Scores, gentlemen, before we go into the championship rounds.
I've still got Vladimir a couple up.
Klitschko by 3.
Into the championship rounds we go, and a big right hand from Anthony Joshua has stopped Vladimir Klitschko in his tracks and dipped his knees. Klitschko using all of his experience, claiming his man and holding on. Now, is he playing possum? Is he demonstrating that he's not hurt when really he is? Klitschko's legs still seem unsteady. Anthony Joshua lands a left hook, but Klitschko partially parries it. It was a thunderbolt of a right hand from Anthony Joshua, and now Joshua trying to close the distance, but all of Klitschko's experience coming to the fore because he was rocked down to his boots by a big right cross from Anthony Joshua at the start of this 11th round. But Vladimir Klitschko appears to have weathered the storm. When he was tagged by it, his legs did a funny little dance, and then he used all of his experience to tie his man up in a vice-like grip, and now he appears to be back on legs that are sure and steady beneath him. But a good left hook landed it on the inside by Anthony Joshua, swiveling Vladimir Klitschko's head to the left, but now Klitschko appears to be clear-eyed once again, bopping up and down on his toes. He's beyond punching range. Left hook, oh, what a right uppercut from Anthony Joshua! My goodness, Vladimir Klitschko shaken down to his boots, and a combination sends Klitschko down to the canvas for the second time in this contest. A thunderous right uppercut with an eye-catching punch in that combination. Klitschko back up on his feet. He holds his gloves up. Referee David Fields wiping them clean. He's had a long time to recover, but he's still got a minute and a half to survive. Big right hand from Anthony Joshua. Klitschko in survival mode. He's back to the ropes on the far side of the ring. Massive right uppercut. Big left hook. And Klitschko is down for the second time in the round and the third time in the fight. He's beaten the count once again. Referee David Fields with a mandatory 8 count. And David Fields giving Vladimir Klitschko lots of time to recover by wiping the gloves clean. Can Anthony Joshua put his man on the the floor for the third time. He attempts a big left hook, but misses. Trying to close the distance now is Joshua. Vladimir Klitschko in desperate trouble. Every time he tries to move backward, this is though he's going to fall over. Joshua's got him backed into the corner. And Anthony Joshua teeing off. Referee David Field has stepped in, and Anthony Joshua has stopped his man in the 11th round of an epic slugfest here at Wembley Arena. Anthony Joshua has stopped Vladimir Klitschko in a superb performance where he demonstrated championship heart, fighting qualities, digging to the very depths of his soul, getting off the canvas after being dropped for the first time in his career, and he put Vladimir Klitschko on the canvas 3 times in all, twice in the 11th round, and when he had his man going, he unleashed a volley that punched Vladimir Klitschko to a standstill, and Anthony Joshua has prevailed in the most significant fight of his career with an 11th round stoppage, showing that he has championship heart, fighting quality in abundance, and he has won the biggest fight of his life in what was an epic slugfest here at Wembley Stadium.
Absolutely incredible 11th round, that really was, and no one could predict what Vladimir Klitschko boxed tonight in terms of the movement. And as this round and this fight went on, I don't think anyone could predict the outcome of that 11th round, Steve, because that was what a world champion is all about. He brought those punches from the depths of his soul. He did that, kid.
And even when he was down in the 11th round, Vladimir, you remembered what had happened. You remembered what had happened in the 5th round, and you weren't sure if it would happen again. And you've seen Joshua there. He can barely stand. He can barely talk. He can barely walk. He's in the corner. He's being propped up by his cornerman, Robert McCracken. He is absolutely exhausted. He is leading out the ring, touching gloves with Deontay Wilder. That is one hell of a fighter, and he showed tonight everything we thought he would have, the guts and everything else.
Incredible.
Absolutely sensational scenes. Anthony Joshua just in the neutral corner on the near side of the ring to our commentary position, being checked over by the doctor. He now climbs the turnbuckle and raises his hands skywards to the open-air night sky here at Wembley Arena. He sticks out his tongue in cheeky fashion. He's a weary man, but he's a successful man, a victorious man, and he's made a successful 4th defense of his IBF heavyweight championship of the world. He becomes a unified heavyweight champion of the world, adding the WBA title to the IBF crown that he brought into the boxing ring. What an epic display of determination. What an epic display of guts from Anthony Joshua. He has answered so many questions tonight. His chin was resoundingly checked by Vladimir Klitschko, and he came past that test. He was put on the floor for the first time in his career, and he came through that test. And now he's celebrating up in the boxing ring because the replays are being displayed on the 4K screens all around Wembley Arena here, and he is satisfied with the finishing salvo that he produced to successfully defend his IBF title for the 4th time and become a unified heavyweight champion. Anthony Joshua, the champion on the rise, had defeated Vladimir Klitschko, the champion on the way back, but we have to ask, is it the end of the road for Vladimir Klitschko, given the fact that he has been beaten by the younger, fresher man? But it was such a slugfest, maybe we want to see it again.
That was absolutely incredible, Richie, because as you two said, and as Ronald was saying at the start of the 11th round, Klitschko was winning, wasn't he? He had a little bit in hand, actually. You thought, well, if Klitschko boxes in the last 2 rounds like he has in the previous 3, it's Klitschko on points all the way.
He's probably three points up at that stage going into that round, and I think deep down Anthony Joshua knew he had to get the knockout, and I think he went for it. His problem mostly tonight, Mark, he was just too far out of range. It was a masterclass from Klitschko. Let's get it right. What a performance from the 41-year-old. It was tremendous. Up on his toes, keeping his distance, bobbing and weaving, and it bamboozled Anthony Joshua. He couldn't figure him out. He couldn't get to him. He couldn't get close enough to him. But in that 11th round, he knew that he had to put it on him. He knew it was now or never he was going to lose this fight.
And where did he find that from? Because in the 5th round, when he dropped Vladimir Klitschko, he was out on his feet. Dave Field was looking at him at the bell. And in the 6th round, he was over. Sure, he smiled. That was a reaction from his heart, not from his head. He was stunned. He was trailing. and suddenly in the 10th round was a slightly slower round. I didn't think Klitschko had faded. I thought Klitschko was taking a breather, and Robert McCracken in the corner was berating him to get out there and finish him from the end of the 7th and 8th, and he did it. He listened to instructions and he went for it. But I tell you what, there was a point when Klitschko went down the first time, I wasn't sure if when he got up, if he survived 30 seconds, if Anthony Joshua might not have freezed. He didn't freeze. He landed that right uppercut left hook for the second knockdown.
He knew he had to finish him off, Steve, didn't he? And the referee was so lenient and generous to Vladimir Klitschko for the time that he gave him. Yeah, I'd love to know the actual count, because he just kept, he said something to him, he rubbed his gloves, he pointed to Joshua to get back to the corner. I mean, he really helped Vladimir Klitschko out. And Ronald, when you're this fit at this World Championship level, an extra 3 or 4 seconds, it's everything to these boxers.
Well, Michael Buffer, the MC, just awaiting the cue from the television company where he can give the official verdict. Vladimir Klitschko losing for the 5th time in his professional boxing career, and for the 4th time by knockout. And that knockout was brought about by the unrelenting punching of Anthony Joshua. We had him trailing by 4. Let's get the official announcement.
Stadium, London, England. We have witnessed one of the great heavyweight championship contests in recent memory. The end comes as referee David Fields calls a halt to the bout at 2 minutes 25 seconds of round number 11. The winner, now the unified champion, still the reigning and defending IBF heavyweight champion of the world, the fighting pride of all England, AJ Anthony Joshua.
Well, Steve, we've seen some amazing sport in the last 20-odd years in this country. We really have. Some incredible things. We think about the London Olympics and Super Saturday. We think about England winning the Ashes after that long delay, the last day of the Oval. We think about England winning the Rugby World Cup. We think about Tony McCoy winning the Grand National at long last. This event here in London tonight has been right up there with the astonishing sport we've seen in the last couple of decades, and I'll put in there round 5, round 6, and then out of nowhere it seems round 11 there.
Yeah, without doubt, the 5th was sensational, like something we've never seen. I said at the time, I think it's the best round we've ever had on 5 Live, and I'm talking about going back in history, and I think it was the best round we've had on 5 Live. And then we had the 6th, the sensational 6th, with him down, with Joshua down, and at that point, I think, really, Kapugas, it was over. The novice reign was over. Then we saw a battle develop, finally reaching a conclusion in the 11th, which was outrageously shocking and outrageously violent. Both of the men need commending. They both went beyond where we thought they could go.
They really did, Richie, didn't they? Because we couldn't see where Anthony Joshua was going to get that from. It seemed as if Klitschko knew what he was doing. He'd get through the last 2 rounds. He'd win the title back. He didn't look as if Joshua, through sheer fatigue, had that in him to do that in the 11th.
Klitschko was probably 2 or 3 points up, and probably some people had him further ahead, but I had him about 3 points up at that stage, and you didn't feel that Joshua had that sort of finish left, because he looked absolutely exhausted. I think Klitschko did as well, but he was up on his toes, he looked better. But for me, Joshua, yeah, he had to pull it out, and he certainly did. He's in the ring now, Mark, I think, speaking.
Yeah, but it's all very well pulling it out and saying he did this and he did that. Nobody thought that the kid could do what he did, Richie. You know, if he was going to win, he was going to walk through him. That was the plan. And if it went the distance, Klitschko would be hanging on from round 2. We didn't see a moment of a fight that anybody predicted. And that's exactly what we predicted. We predicted that we wouldn't, you know, in all fairness, we said here, anything could happen. Yeah. And anything did happen, Richie.
Yeah, well, we even said, Steve, at one point, do you remember, this could all be over in the first minute of the first round, because they're heavyweights and they both can really, really hit hard. So, yeah, it was an incredible ending, and no one expected Klitschko to move the way he did, and no one expected that finish from Joshua.
Now, we're not being after timers here, but we did say at the start of the evening's broadcast that he demonstrated this type of resilience in that World Championship gold medal bout against Magomedov. He wasn't put on the floor, and it certainly wasn't over a 12-round championship professional contest. But those qualities that you can't teach, Steve, you can teach anybody how to box, but you can't teach anyone how to fight. And Anthony Joshua, from the very depths of his being, found something when he was utterly exhausted and got his way back into a contest where he was losing and produced a finishing salvo to put a legend of the boxing ring, a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer in the future, on his back twice in the 11th round and out of the fight. An absolutely terrific display which stands him in good stead for the future.
And Ronald, the thing is as well, in a contest like that, at some point in a boxer's career, there comes a time when you can forget about the training, you can forget about the skills, the drills, and the road work, everything. It just comes down to your sheer desire and your will. DNA, call it what you want, it's part of your character and your soul, and that's what he showed. He brought it from the depths of his soul, those punches, because he knew that if he didn't produce those punches at the end, he was going to lose the title. So he knew he had to put it onto Klitschko, and what a way to do it, Steve.
Yeah, because, you know, he had nothing left in that 6th round. He wasn't that good in the 7th, 8th and 9th. He maybe just about nicked the 10th. And if it was a long plan to see if Klitschko evaporated, to see if Klitschko finally finished, but see if Klitschko's resistance went, I thought that was backfiring. He caught him with a couple of sensational shots, Joshua. But what he does, when he opens up from distance, he can look amateurish. Sometimes the right hand looks like it's the first time a man's ever thrown it. But once he lets go, once he gets close, once he smells a bit of blood, he finds punches, and how he found them in the 11th, I don't know.
It's really interesting you say that, Steve, because I'm of a similar opinion. When he was trying to box with Klitschko, he looked really crude, he looked a little bit clumsy, but when it came down to it, when it came time to roll up the sleeves and to say, all right, let's do this, his punches flowed with fluency and with tremendous force, and the finishing combinations that put Klitschko on the floor were absolutely devastating. And this isn't to distract from what he's achieved, but in those punches, there was no thought, there was just pure instinct born of years of training.
Yeah, there was too many times tonight, Ron, when Anthony Joshua was too far away. He didn't know how to close the gap down. He certainly wasn't prepared for a moving Klitschko like that. He maybe have thought that he'd have had to get to Klitschko if Klitschko was going to have to box long, but he certainly couldn't cope with the way the guy moved tonight, Klitschko. And with the movement, Klitschko controlled the tempo, which was very, very interesting and very, very clever from Klitschko. They did their homework very well indeed. They prepared fantastically well, and it was going great, wasn't it, for Klitschko? He probably only had to get through the last 2 or 3 rounds and he would have won the contest. But then again, Anthony Joshua had to pull it out of the bag, and he did. And you're right, he had to get up close to him, and he didn't quite know how to close that gap down, did he? In the end, I think he just thought, I've just got to get up to this fella and get on his chest and throw some really hard punches.
The joy of the heavyweight division, almost more than any other division, Steve, that when it comes to it, you think, I'm going to have to just punch my way to a victory here out of nowhere.
And you know what, Pugas, it's been a long time since we've seen two guys give like that and take like that. We've seen moments of it, we've seen little clips of it, we've seen cameo performances, but tonight we saw two men push themselves to absolute exhaustion. You saw Anthony Joshua at the end there. For 30 seconds, he was perched in that corner, and I swear, Robert McCracken, a former middleweight British champion, was holding him up, was needed there to give him support. And Klitschko himself, he staggered back, more from exhaustion than a problem with the punches, Pugas.
Klitschko's just been speaking to television, and whatever he said got a great reception from the crowd, so that's great. I'm in a little bit of a queue here at the back of the television queue, but I'm sure when our time comes we'll be able to speak to Anthony Joshua. Great to see that Klitschko's absolutely fine after all that.
And we began this broadcast by trying to put this fight into context. Look at what Vladimir Klitschko has achieved during his career. The second longest reigning heavyweight champion of all time, third most title defenses in history. And he called this his signature fight before a punch was thrown against an 18-fight relative novice. Okay, he's got the IBF title, but Vladimir Klitschko, despite all of those credentials, despite being a first ballot Hall of Famer, I think that Vladimir Klitschko is respected rather than revered by fight fans. Given what he's just given of himself in the boxing ring tonight, this may edge him towards that reverential adulation that he has craved for so long in his career.
But at some point, Mark, someone's going to say, hold on a moment, asterisks attached to this incredible night. Those boys on 5 Live need to calm down, because 17 months ago, a man younger than Anthony Joshua gave Vladimir Klitschko, 18 months younger, a boxing lesson. Wasn't the same type of fight, but it was a boxing lesson. I don't want to be the man to drop the tempo, but I just want to get that in before I personally get abused by thousands on Twitter in the morning.
No, you won't get abused, Steve, because it was a totally different type of contest, wasn't it? And it was a great, listen, we give loads of plaudits to Tyson Fury, because it was a tremendous performance. Great boxing display by Tyson Fury over in Germany, but it was a totally different type of contest, and it's a totally different type of contest to what we expected here tonight. Let's get that right, Steve. And no one expected
what we saw there.
That's what I'm saying.
We didn't expect Tyson Fury to waltz around the ring, tap Klitschko on the bum and win quite comfortably.
I'll remind you, Steve, I certainly did. I thought he'd beat him, didn't I?
You did, and you know what? You said you would beat him, and he would beat him on points, and he did exactly the right thing.
We did see a different Klitschko tonight, didn't we?
We had to.
We had to. He really did have to reinvent himself.
Because we had to see an aggressive Klitschko, because had Joshua been allowed to get over his front foot early in the fight, and had he been allowed to not look a bit like a novice and a raw novice from the outside of from the outside of the ropes, he would have got to Vladimir earlier. Vladimir took the biggest risk of his 69 fight career tonight, and guess what? It nearly came off.
Well, it nearly came off, but I think we both got it right tonight, in that Steve said he would come out on that front foot and attack, but a couple of us here says if he does that, he's going to get knocked out, and he did get knocked out in the end because he was taking too many risks coming forward. But having said that, Mark, it was a tremendous display on his toes, up on his toes, and of course he's going to have to go forward occasionally to win the title back, but no one expected the movement. The movement was fantastic. That was the big factor in this contest, and Anthony Joshua wasn't expecting that and wasn't prepared for that.
And from Anthony Joshua's point of view, in the week leading up to this bout, he said, this isn't science, it's a fight, and I win. Simple. But when it was a science, when it was boxing, he was coming out second best in this contest. But when he turned it into a fight, when he was able to close the distance and unload with his heavy artillery, well, ultimately he prevailed, and he prevailed from a point where he was trailing on the scorecards and on the brink of, well, not utter exhaustion, but very fatigued indeed.
And you remember, Ronald, I've been saying now for a month, this is the ultimate after-timers fight. And people are going to wake up, they're going to be online tonight, they're going to wake up in the morning and say, I told you Klitschko was an old man. What would they have said if he'd have landed one more punch in the 6th round? You know what they would have said? I told you Joshua was a novice. This is the ultimate after-timers fight.
And if Klitschko had won on points, they said, I'd have told you he had too much experience for him, he had too much know-how.
And I've set my clock to the first time I'm touched on my shoulder and someone tells me they knew that was going to happen.
You said that 5th round was one of the great rounds that we've had on radio.
Without a doubt.
Was it one of the great rounds, full stop?
You know what? I'm going to have to step back, because sometimes you get too involved with 90,000. I'm going to step back from that, Boogers, and I'm going to assess it, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to watch it again. I've got a feeling it might have been one of the best 3 minutes I've ever seen from ringside. Because if you analyse that round and the pure adrenaline, talk about 90,000 people giving someone a lift. You know, you talk about the 12th man in football, Richie, down at the Baggies. What was there here tonight? The 90,000th man.
Yeah, incredible, wasn't it? But I think, Steve, that the crowd could sense also that it was slipping away for Joshua, weren't they? They could actually sense it. People around us, people were looking a little bit.
Because your old pal Robert Backens here, of course, Anthony Joshua's trainer. Well, many congratulations. What we're all asking with Steve and with Richie is that 11th round. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, we had a long, hard camp, and I had to get him very fit for it, but he tightened up a bit at times. Klitschko's vastly experienced, a tremendous fighter, but Anthony will have learnt a lot from that. But to come back from the knockdown that he received, Anthony, after knocking Klitschko down heavily, to regroup, rally, and then clinch it with a fantastic knockout, is testament to the effort he put in and his ability.
Were you thinking 2 rounds to go, Klitschko's ahead on points, there's only one way we can win this is what you've got to do, Anthony?
I think we got to 4 rounds to go and we just felt we needed every round. We thought there was probably a couple of rounds in it to Klitschko, but Anthony started to make headway in the last 4 rounds, and we felt by round 11 he was really slowing up Klitschko, and Anthony finds the shots. He finds the shots, Anthony Joshua, he always does.
What about the 5th round? That was quite something. He puts Klitschko down, and yet by the end of it, it's Anthony Joshua, who's hanging on and breathing hard.
Yeah, it was inexperience. He loaded up. He saw the moment, you know, Klitschko was badly hurt, badly cut, and he loaded up and walked into shots and got tired. But he regrouped and he learnt in there, and he showed that, you know, he isn't just a prospect. He can stay calm, he can rally, he can go through bad spells and turn them round in a fight, and that will help him so much in his career.
We heard you in the corner saying, heading towards round 11, that Klitschko is tiring up. Here's your moment. Is that half kidology, half what you really think? I mean, you have to be a bit of everything in the corner, don't you?
It reminded me a little bit of the Carl Froch-Jermaine Taylor fight, where he was just slowing up and Anthony just needed to do a little bit more work and a little bit more physical stuff, and he'd get what we needed, which was the combination and the left hook, and that's what he caught him with, an uppercut in the end. But the left hooks was slowing Klitschko up. The right uppercut did the job, and then he unloaded on him. But he's a tremendous combination puncher, Anthony, which is rare really in British boxing.
So Rob, when you're going into the 11th round, are you, obviously that's what you're hoping is going to happen, but how much are you thinking or convinced that it will happen?
You're in the moment, so you believe it will happen, and we believed it would happen in round 11 or 12. We thought he was catching up with him and he was going to get to him, and he did.
Rob, were you surprised, Rob, over here, son, Rob, were you surprised how mobile Vladimir came out, and he seemed to increase with the dancing?
No, he was light at the weigh-in. I knew he was going to box and move, and I knew he was going to look to catch Anthony with a shot. He's vastly experienced. He's a tremendous fighter, a tremendous boxer. But Anthony will have learned everything in his career there. That was 18 fights rolled into one plus a bit more. But he showed he's got the heart, he showed he's got the courage, and he's got the ability to turn things around in sticky patches in a fight. He's answered a lot of questions tonight.
And that final knockdown, which was over there in front of you, the right uppercut and then the left hook, it's one of those knockdowns, Rob, and you understand these, where it all seems to come in slow motion. You get hit in slow motion, you go down in slow motion, and you know those are the ones you never come back from.
Yeah, we felt he was tiring Klitschko, and Anthony just needed to do a bit more work the last 4 rounds, and he did, and he got the job done, and he finished him off clinically, and a great finish. And you know something, when he gets you in a position you're vulnerable, he lets the shots go.
Rob, at any point were you a little bit concerned that it might have been slipping away, or did you always have the confidence that Anthony would pull it back?
Oh, 100% when he got knocked down with the biggest right hand I've seen in years, and down heavy as well. And he regrouped, he blew a gasket, let's get it right, Anthony, after he knocked Klitschko down. He went for it, tired himself out, tightened up, and paid the price. But we knew he had the second win, we knew he could regroup, we knew he could get through the sticky patch, and if he just stayed with me and listened to me, he'd get through it.
Do you think Klitschko will want a rematch?
Do you know something? I honestly don't know, because he's an out-and-out competitor. I really don't know the answer, but what a fantastic fight, and two fantastic fighters.
Rob, you had him there in front of you, and you've got him, he's this close to you. Now you're listening to his breathing, you're looking in his eyes. Was he always responsive, and were you always happy when he came back to the corner?
Yeah, he was always responsive, and his eyes were pretty clear. Tremendously fit. Richie knows, he's been there with us. We've drilled him for 12 weeks. He's hated every second of it, but it got him through that knockdown, and it enabled him to regroup and finish Klitschko off in unbelievable style.
So it was round 7 and 8. He was having to really get his breath back and get ready for the second wind.
Yeah, and it was difficult. Klitschko started to get on top, started to find him with big shots, jabs and right hands through the middle. And Klitschko's right hands, a tremendous shot. But he learned everything in there tonight, Anthony, and he showed that he's the world heavyweight champion with his fantastic finish.
How good was the occasion finally, Rob? 90,000 people in London, an event like this?
Well, I've been lucky. This is the second time I've been here, but unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. The stuff dreams are made of.
I'm just wondering, you're a stern taskmaster, you train him hard, as you say. I'm just wondering, what was the most impressive quality for you that Anthony demonstrated tonight?
What was the most impressive quality tonight, Ron wants to know, from Anthony Joshua in your point of view?
His will to win and his determination. His will to win and his determination.
You had to hold him up at the end there. He's just won the world title, hasn't he? But you had to hold him up because he had given so much in this very corner here.
Yeah, he'd give so much, and he was getting mobbed a little bit, but you know what? he's a great person. Richie will tell you, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. I'm absolutely delighted for him. Nobody deserves it more than Anthony Joshua.
Mark, is it back to business for Rob this week in Sheffield?
Back to business in Sheffield this week.
Yeah, me and Richie back to work next week. That's what it's all about.
No more 90,000. No more 90,000. Back
me
to
and
the
Richie
small.
in meetings, and Richie asking about when the new kit's coming in.
He wants to look smart. Thank you very much, Rob. Congratulations. Thank you for talking to us live on 5 Live. That's smashing. Rob McCracken there. Anthony Joshua's trainer. We hope very much to speak to Anthony Joshua in a couple of moments' time. You'll understand these things. It's television. They pay the money, and we're at the back of the queue. But I'm not going to move from the side of this ring until we hear from Anthony Joshua. Don't worry about that.
You squat there, Pugas.
Yeah,
Do not move. The big lad on your right, he's going to look after you. We'll get you in the ring.
Back on him. I'm a bit frightened of
There's
him.
a few people in the line. 1 or 2 have gone. There's 1 or 2 left, and then it will be you.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there.
Again, we've been trying to frame this fight both in the lead-up and in the aftermath. Sugar Ray Leonard had just put out on social media that this was a great contest. Both men showed an awful lot, and Sugar Ray Leonard knows a thing or two about being involved in big nights, come from behind victories, showing championship heart and a way to win where there seemingly is none. He's in admiration as to what he's just witnessed here in Wembley.
You know, we talked about the big guys from Showtime who are here, and our colleagues from HBO are here, and the journalists are here. We need to maybe now start thinking, let's throw it on as the lights come on and the stadium empties. This is going to be shown live in America, then it's going to be shown delayed action. This is absolutely going to stun the Americans, because Vladimir's got a strange reputation in America. People acknowledge he's a great fighter, but they don't like his fights. That's a kind of contradiction in terms, I know. And suddenly tonight, they've seen him in the rarest of things for Vladimir, a brawl, an absolute brawl. So the American input is going to be staggering in the next few days, because there are going to be offers galore, Pugas.
Well, they're going to
offers galore.
They're going to come into this man, the offers galore. Eddie Heard, his promoter. Eddie, congratulations. That was that was a phenomenal sporting occasion, if nothing else.
And the fight that lived up to it. You know, we live in a sport where there is a lot of hype. These guys didn't hype the fight up. The public did, the demand did. And when I say it delivered, I mean, wow. You know, points in that fight where I thought it was over. Points in that fight where I thought it was over for Vladimir Klitschko as well. And just came roaring back, found some unbelievable heart from somewhere. And when people talk about Anthony Joshua's chin, don't worry about that. Anthony Joshua's got a great chin. We didn't know that, by the way, but now we do. And I'll tell you what he has got, heart like a lion. Because you do not go into a fight like that as an inexperienced heavyweight, go down on the floor, blow your gasket, and come back and knock out the experienced heavyweight champion who just took over the fight halfway through. And I'm absolutely stunned by, quite honestly, one of the best heavyweight fights of all time.
This is a tweet from Tyson Fury. This is what I'm reading here, Eddie. Well done, Anthony Joshua. Good fight. You had life and death with Klitschko, and I played with the guy. Let's dance. I mean, that's right. It was life and death. It was life in the 5th, and at the end of the 5th, he's hanging on. The 6th, he's down. You're looking, you know, in sporting terms as if it's over. And then going into the 11th, we just heard from Rob McCracken. It's the thing that happens in heavyweights when you're behind. It's one punch or you're out, really.
And what you have to remember, and Tyson Fury did a great job in Germany, that was Anthony Joshua's 19th professional fight. He's learning under the lights, in front of 90,000 people. He's learning, you know, and people don't realise that. Other fighters, other camps would have taken 5, 6, 7 more fights, filling arenas, driving pay-per-view numbers, just because they can, just because of the size of Joshua's popularity. He didn't. He gambled. He took the chance. And tonight, you learn more in that fight than he would have done in 8 of those other type of fights. And, you know, he was raw at times, which he is. And I guess at times, he was probably exposed. But to get exposed in front of 90,000, to bite down on your gum shield, to come back and to knock out Vladimir Klitschko in the 11th round, unbelievable. You can't buy that. You can't buy that entertainment. You can't buy that heart. As I said before this fight, Anthony Joshua, if he wins tonight, will be the biggest sporting star in the UK and the biggest boxing star in the world. And I tell you what, he's proved not only has he got charisma, he's got speed, he's got power, but he's got a chin and he's got heart, and he will entertain the British and worldwide sporting public for many years to come.
Eddie, I asked Rob McCracken just at any point did he think it was slipping away? He was confident that that Josh was going to come back. Were you worried at one point?
I thought in the 5th round, I thought it was over.
Yeah.
I mean, he got hit by a huge right hand. He made a mistake, Richie, when he knocked Klitschko down in the 4th round. He lost his head.
Yeah, tried to finish it.
I don't know if you could see it from here, but he gritted his teeth and celebrated because he thought it was over. By the time Klitschko got up, Josh had almost, he was out of breath. Then he tried to finish him. He had a rough end to the round. Came out, the legs were all over the place in the 5th round from Joshua because he'd blown his gasket. He got hit by a huge right hand that I wasn't sure whether he'd get up from. He did, he survived the round. He was smart. The 6th, the 7th, just started to work off his jab, not fight in the clinch hold, not try and consume too much energy. Then as he was walking back to the corner in the 8th and 9th, he started to look and sort of nod his head as if to say, it's coming back, I can feel it. And then, but again, he got nailed with the right hand. I think it was in the 10th. How he even took that shot.
What a chin,
I know. And, I have to say, the doubts about AJ's chin, we didn't really know, did we? Because he'd never really been hit. Been hit once flush from Dillian Whyte. And now he's been hit by the kitchen sink from Vladimir Klitschko, who's one of the hardest punchers in the heavyweight division, and he took everything and he came back and knocked him out.
Yeah, the big unknown, as you say, was what happens if he gets hit when he's hurt, what happens if he gets hit late in a fight. And not only get hit late in the fight, he came back. And the only beautiful thing about this fight, Eddie, and you and I had several chats about this, is that too many people were writing Klitschko off. Too many people were suggesting he was too old. And I just hope that nobody just goes low enough to suggest that what we saw there was because Klitschko is a 41-year-old man with poor legs. Yeah. And if that happens, I'd ban them from ringside next time.
What happened was Vladimir Klitschko came out knowing it was the last chance saloon. And what was so clever was the way he put Josh on the back foot from the first bell. And I didn't think he'd do that. And it was smart because he made Joshua use his legs early on. And Joshua was thinking he was boxing up from the back foot, which is something he's not used to. So those first 3 or 4 rounds were very, very cagey.
No, Eddie. Ron, I'm going to ask Eddie, do you mind going to get the champion for us? Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry to use you as a runner there, Eddie Hearn, but that'd be great. Thank you very much, Eddie. It's great to hear from you.
Pugas, can he get 3 cups of tea? It's getting a bit chilly whilst he goes and gets AJ for us.
Some fruit pastels, that will go down. Now, what I want to... The thing, of course, is what's going to happen to Eddie's phone tomorrow from America. Plot this for us, Deontay Wilder. What's going to happen?
But the thing is, Pugas, we don't need America. We've got 90,000 people in here. The pay-per-view sales on Sky are going to go through the roof. Our listenership here on 5 Live is going to go through the roof. We'll have it again at any fight he has. We don't have to go to America with this kid. What's in America? There's no one out there that gives him that kind of pay-per-view attraction. There's as many people we can go and find here, as far as I'm concerned, Richie.
Absolutely, it was.
I've got in the ring, Richie. This is the closest I'll ever be actually in a World Championship ring. But I got in a ring, and we're standing next to Eddie, and Anthony Joshua's just leaning over the ropes on the far side. So I'm sure in a couple of moments. So what I mean by it's an American, though, isn't it? To go, the exposure stateside.
Absolutely, and also what could happen, as you never know. The Americans in Vegas, they might fancy it. They might stick 10 million in the pot, one of the casinos, and the next thing you know, there's a fight over there, and it could be a fight over there. The next fight certainly could be over there. But when you get 90,000 here and this kind of attraction, it is absolutely beyond belief.
But Steve, the Americans might want a piece of Anthony Joshua now, though. That's also the key, isn't it?
Listen, Deontay Wilder is going to have needs at least one more fight. He is not a pay-per-view in America, so for Showtime or HBO to have it, they'd have to have it as a pay-per-view because he's going to have pay-per-view.
Here we go, Richie. Here we are. Anthony Joshua's just had a hug with and a photo with Chris Eubank Jr. Thank you very much for your time. Many congratulations. What a phenomenal night. And I have to start the 11th round. Talk us through it, Anthony. And what was going through your mind as you got off your stool in the corner?
I thought, okay, do you know what it is? There's been many a times when I've been in the ring sparring and it gets to the 11th round and then my coach is like, next one in, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm tired, but I've got fresh meat coming in, so I have to switch on. And even when it gets tough in here, I knew I could go the distance because I'd been there many times in training, and that's why the fights are won in the gym, and you have to put in the work, and I've done long camps, because I know it gets tough in here. Listen, boxing isn't easy, but you have to dig deep, show character, and that's what we've done this evening. It was about skill, but it was about determination and will. And you have to have the whole package in order to go on and try and achieve great things in boxing.
And are you thinking at the start of that 11th round, probably he's ahead on points, I have to knock him out to win the title?
Oh, round by round. I knew it was very possible to hurt him because we're heavyweights and we're big punchers. But what you have to do is create the opportunity. Vladimir is very good at moving out of the way of punches, and I was thinking, okay, I've got to take some risks in order to land the punches I need. And I'm learning round by round, and that's what's beautiful about my career. I'm learning under the bright lights, and it makes it so entertaining.
It certainly does. And how much did you learn from the fifth, because you floored him, and then just speaking to Rob McCracken and Eddie Hearn, maybe, you know, you went a bit, right, going to finish him off now, and actually blew yourself out a little bit. Is that what happened in the fifth?
I'm a knockout man. I don't come to box, I come to hurt people. And I really wanted to hurt him in the ring. With all due respect, I wanted to hurt him in the ring, you know. But I learned that if I box and I put my punches together, sooner or later they'll start landing rather than trying to swing haymakers in. But at the end of the day, I figured out what I had to do, and I got the job done.
Just finally then, what's the experience been like tonight? Wembley Stadium, 90,000 on your doorstep, and a fight like that as well.
Well, I'm going back to my council flat to kick back with my family. We're going to eat some good food. We're going to take it easy. And the experience was the first in a lifetime, because I'm not going anywhere. And we're coming back to Wembley sooner or later to have another massive showdown with other good heavyweights in the division and give the fans more of these nights. So first and foremost, for the first time I've performed here, thank you very much. And the second time, I can't wait to see you all again.
Brilliant. Just a name next you want to fight, then we're finished.
This is what I'm saying, look. Okay, as a fighter, on my left side, I'll fight anyone. On my right side, my coach knows what's best, and he'll work with my promoter to make the right fights happen. So whoever wants to fight, everyone make noise, and then my coach and my promoter will work out who's a mandatory, who I have to fight, and then we'll go ahead and I'll just train to the best way I can to perform in the best way I can.
Smashing. Thanks, Anthony. Have a good evening. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Eddie, as well, for doing all that. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon. There we go, then. We've heard from the champion there. It's quite springy, this floor in here, isn't it?
Easy, Pugas, easy. Throw a few jabs, Mark.
And run.
Pugas, what did he look like up close? He sounded exhausted. Did he look that way up?
He looked like he'd got his composure back. Actually, looked quite, dare I say, he looked quite relaxed and quite calm. Almost, you know, because as I climbed back through the ropes, he got his composure back. You know, big smile. I was asking about the fifth round. He knows, doesn't he? You know, you're the experts. You know, and he knows what he did in the fifth and how he'll learn from it.
You know, rounds like the fifth are those ones that even if you win the contest, the following day you say, actually, I can't remember the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth and ninth. No, it's true, Richie. Yeah. You say, all I can remember is the start of the fourth and then the 10th, even in fights you won.
Yeah. But I like the fact he said, you know, I'm a fighter, I'm a puncher. You know, that was always the thing in the build-up, wasn't it? Klitschko rather portrayed him, Joshua, just as a puncher, whereas Klitschko said, I'm a man who can fight and punch. In other words, I've got the craft work and the ring work and the experience.
Well, what Josh has said there as well, he's learning under the lights and he's learning actually in the ring. That's what he's talking about, and he is. And what he'll learn tonight is he'll have to handle a moving box a little bit better than what he did. He wasn't expected that, but what he made a very good point. He learned through the contest and he had to adjust. And you know, we give a lot of credit to Rob McCracken, of course we do, because he's his coach and he's his mentor and he guides him through the fight. But the kid's got to do it himself, Mark.
Yeah.
Every fighter will tell you they have to adjust and they have to be a champion. They have to sort it out for themselves. So are the coach telling you this, that, and the other? Well, you got to do it, and he did that in under extreme pressure. When probably sometimes he's probably one punch away from being knocked out himself. So he has learnt a lot tonight.
I just hope, and I joked to Eddie there, I just hope that by the time we read about this overnight and tomorrow, that it suddenly doesn't get downgraded into an old man finally running out of steam.
No way.
And I also hope it doesn't just become the Tyson Fury story, okay? Tyson Fury we've given a lot of credibility to tonight, and that is a fight for the future. And in Marbella, Tyson Fury will be watching that and thinking, I haven't even got to lose 6 stone. I can beat Anthony Joshua if I weigh 23 stone, which he couldn't. Could the Tyson Fury that had beaten Vladimir Klitschko when he was younger than Anthony Joshua, could he have beaten Anthony Joshua tonight? The answer is yes. However, that was before tonight. Now we're talking after tonight. And as Robert McCracken said, that was more than 18 fights experience in one fight. There are very few heavyweights in history that have fights like that at the start of their careers, fights of that kind of quality. Sure, there are guys that got dropped. Muhammad Ali got dropped. Guys get dropped and they go on to become great champions, but they don't get dropped in 11-round slugfests.
And Mark, we've also learned tonight, if Vladimir Klitschko wants to continue, I think there's still gas left in the tank with him. It's whether he'll have that will again and have that desire to go on. He didn't want to go out, being remembered for the loss to Fury, but this loss, it's not so bad, you know.
We'll take your calls. The Stephen Nolan programme is coming up next. The new number 08085 909 693 08085 909 693, the boxing phone-in. This really has been one of the great British sporting events of the last 10-20 years. No question about that, and a real privilege to be here. And what you're saying is, and Richie, you're the world champion, there are plenty of people, doesn't matter what the sport is, who are very technically good and they're very talented and they're very skillful, but there's one thing above all that at this level that matters, and that's heart, isn't it? That's heart and determination and nous.
That's why that was an absolute perfect contest, because that fight there had everything. It had speed, it had skill, it had power, it had two boxers thinking their way through a contest who really showed bottle. But at the end of the day, what won it wasn't all the speed and the skill and the technical ability, it was desire. And Anthony Joshua knew he had to find that one knockout shot, and he found it and he kept it going, and he's finished the job. But you're right, it had everything, but the desire and the will to win was the overwhelming factor in that fight.
It was without doubt Anthony Joshua's greatest night, and I've got to be honest with you, it wasn't far off being Vladimir Klitschko's greatest night. Absolutely. It was certainly Vladimir Klitschko's most entertaining night, so just consider that as we come to the end of the broadcast. Consider that, Poogers. We saw not one great performance tonight. We might have seen two brilliant performances tonight.
Joe Calzaghe's tweeted, what a fight, didn't expect that. Great fight, Sugar Ray Leonard. Such an amazing fight with two great fighters. Lots of heart by both fighters. A lot of questions answered by Anthony Joshua. And Lennox Lewis, who was sitting just behind us, and Steve caught up with him during the week. How much heart did Klitschko show in this fight? Got to respect it. Hold your head high, brother. Hashtag Joshua Klitschko. That's what they all think about it. It's going to resonate, isn't it? It's going to make waves, Ronald. This fight, the quality of it.
Most certainly, despite the fact that Vladimir Klitschko has lost, I think this is a contest that will elevate the standing of both men. Certainly Anthony Joshua coming out with the spoils, adding the WBA title to the IBF title that he carried into the ring. But as we were alluding to, after Vladimir Klitschko was knocked out 3 times early on in his career, he altered his style. The late, great Manny Stewart made sure that he epitomized the quote from Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion of the world from 1908 to 1915. Jack Johnson said the essence of boxing is to protect your weak spot. They identified that Vladimir Klitschko's weak spot was his punch resistance, and so they manufactured and perfected a style where his punch resistance was seldom tested. Jabbing, grabbing, clawing. Now, as a result, during that lengthy championship reign, second only to the great Joe Louis, he hasn't been given much respect. As Steve's pointed out, he was respected among boxing fans, but there was no adoration. This type of contest will give him the adoration that he so desperately craves on his way to the first ballot in the Hall of Fame when he chooses to call it a day.
Hugh says a fight that lived up to the height. It's been a while. Todd says Anthony Joshua, baddest man on the planet. Enjoy your moment. Rizwan, that was just like the days of Tyson and Lewis. Proper heavyweight punch-up. And Jonathan, what a performance by Klitschko. Sensational for a 41-year-old. But Anthony Joshua has set himself into global superstardom. We could be talking about we could be already. But I'm sure we are soon talking about the biggest British sportsman, aren't we? When you're heavyweight champion of the world?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. And what Anthony Joshua has got to do now is his mantra is stay hungry, and that's what he's got to do. He alluded to it there, didn't he? He said, I'm going back to my council flat, and I'm going to go with my family and have a bit of eat some nice food. And he's a very, very basic fella. He's a very wealthy fella now, but he keeps his feet on the ground. And above all else, it's got to be the will to win a contest, and it's got to be the will to train and the desire to be a boxer and still think about winning titles rather than earning money. Now, I know this fella's earning millions of pounds, but he still has that desire to be the very best. He wants to be the undisputed champion, and let's face it, there's some massive fights still out there. We could get a rematch here, we could have Deontay Wilder, and let's not forget other British boxer Tyson Fury.
Yeah, absolutely, and don't rule out that rematch. Don't rule that out. I saw Vlad there at the end. Sure, he was disappointed, but he was also eyeing him up. And they walked back, and there was a little bit of as they walked back, him and Vitali, you could see on their look, they didn't look to me like two men who were about to be retired together. It looked like two men who were going to the back room to start plotting and planning and scheming. I would not be at all surprised if he fancied it. Deontay Wilder's here at ringside. You don't have to interview him for him to say, yes, of course I'll come here and fight, because I'm going to make 10 times what I'm making fighting in front of 3,000 or 4,000 in America. That goes without saying. Tyson Fury's probably already lost 2 stone since he went to Marbella earlier this week. He'll get there for the fight. We'll see big nights. We'll have big nights. And in all fairness, we deserve big nights.
And big nights back here. We heard it from Eddie Hearn. We heard it from Anthony Joshua himself. Richie, back here, look, it sells out in no time without anybody having to resort to sort of, you know, the dirty tactics of shifting tickets by pretending you loathe your opponents.
I think if Steve Bunce is the next opponent for Anthony Joshua, it would sell out 90,000.
Well, 15 million in it for you, Steve.
The way he challenged me when I interviewed him, when he said, and Steve Bunce doesn't believe I can outpoint, and I was stuffed, and I had to say, no, I don't think you can outpoint him, and I had an asterisk then, and Jack cut it out. Our producer Jack cut it out of the interview, and I said, what I think's going to happen is I think you're going to have him down in the 5th round, then you're going to be tired, and then in the 6th round you're going to get dropped, then you're going to come back, and in the mighty 11th you're going to knock him out. That's what honestly, Pugas, that's what I said.
Oh, by the way, talking of which, what's on the UBS stick then? Sewn into the Klitschko dressing gown after all that. It doesn't say
certainly not what happened, darling.
08085 909 693. Boxing phone-in coming up in the Stephen Nolan programme. 08085 909 693. What do you think, Richie, is most likely next for him then? I mean, Deontay Wilder and a unification fight, because he's a WBC champion, seems an obvious route.
Yeah, I think that would be a contest that everyone would want to see, but we'd have to see what we'd have to see what happens from here. There might be a clause in the contract that there's going to be a rematch, and that would definitely sell, wouldn't it? Let's face it, let's do this again. Everyone would want to see it, but I'd like to see Deontay Wilder. I'd also like to see a Tyson Fury fight. That, for the British public, you'd probably need a bigger stadium than Wembley, and we haven't got one.
And Eddie Hearn wouldn't be drawn on the rematch clause, but what he did say is if it's a really good fight, no matter who wins, I'm sure there will be the need for a rematch. One guy that's out there is a guy called Kubrat Pulev, who before he fought against Vladimir was unbeaten and feared. He got done in 5 rounds, but he's dangerous. He's still there. He's still a threat, and he'd be a good threat. And you know what? I don't know if you do 90, but you could do Kubrat Pulev, and actually you would. You'd do 90,000 for Kubrat Pulev and Joshua here after this, because these people have already left it. You have to understand, Pugas, that already people are talking, and according to the people that are talking, 95,000 people were here. By tomorrow morning, 100,000 people will claim they're here. And so when it comes around,
Live Aid, isn't it? I was there, yeah.
When it comes round again, I assure you, you know, he could fight Kubrat Pulev, no problem. They'd probably do 90,000.
But it could be a favourite in the rematch, because, Mark, the thing is, the Klitschkos now will go away, and they've almost pulled it off. And that's what they'll probably come back. We almost pulled off. We were ahead. We got caught. You can see what's coming. And, you know, everyone would want to see it.
It lived up to the hype, Ronald. Final word, it lived up to the hype, which is great.
I think it exceeded any hype that was put forth. And remember, the boxers weren't creating much hype with their cordiality and their respectfulness to one another outside of the ring in the build-up. But my goodness, once that bell sounded, what a dramatic contest we witnessed. Ebbing and flowing. The old man's experience appearing to get the better of the young, eager Joshua. The young, eager Joshua put down on the floor for the first time in his career after dropping a legendary champion, then getting outboxed once again and finding something when he appeared to have not very much left at all. I think any hype that was laid down, this exceeded it, and I think we've got the foundations and the narrative for a rematch that would sell in an instant. Let's see what the appetite of the fighters is to do it again.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Great stuff, guys. Ronald McIntosh and Steve Bunce and Richie Woodhall. And thank you to you as well for listening.